When Elena moved into the old apartment building, all she wanted was peace. Her husband had died just 3 months earlier in a car crash, and silence was the only thing she could bear. The weight of her grief was a constant, heavy shroud, and the noise of the world felt like an intrusion. She needed a place to disappear, to let the quiet swallow her whole. Apartment 302 was perfect. It was cheap, it was quiet, and it came with one strange rule. The landlord, a man with nervous eyes and a forced smile, handed her the keys and pointed down the long, dim hallway. "Everything is yours," he said, except for the door at the very end of the hall. "Do not open it!" Elena looked at the door. It was old, painted a faded gray, and had a thick, brittle-looking seal around its frame. "Why?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The landlord's smile faltered. "It's sealed for a reason," he replied, his gaze flickering toward the door and then quickly away. "It's just better if you leave it that way." She didn't press him. She didn't have the energy to argue. She just wanted the silence. So she nodded. But that night, as rain pattered against the window pane and an old clock ticked faintly in the living room, she heard it, a sound that cut through the quiet. Knocking. It was coming from behind that sealed door. At first, it was faint, almost hesitant. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Then, nothing. Elena told herself it was just the old building settling, the pipes groaning under the strain of the storm. Maybe a neighbor upstairs was moving furniture late at night. She pulled her blankets tighter and tried to ignore it, but it came again the next night, and the night after that. Always at the same time. 3 knocks. And then, on the 4th night, a voice followed the knocking. It was soft, broken, and carried on the cold draft that seemed to seep from under the forbidden door. "Elena, it's cold in here." Her blood ran cold. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She knew that voice. It was her husband's voice, Michael's. Trembling, she slid out of bed and crept down the hallway, her bare feet silent on the old wooden floors. She pressed her ear against the door, the wood cold and unyielding. "Michael," she whispered, her own voice cracking. "Is that you?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then the voice came again, closer this time, as if he were standing right on the other side. "You left me, Elena. I'm so alone. Please, just open the door." A wave of memory crashed over her. The night he died. He had called her, but she was angry over some stupid fight and had let it go to voicemail. The next call she received was from the hospital. The guilt she carried was a physical thing, a chain wrapped tightly around her chest, squeezing the air from her lungs. She had left him alone. And now he was calling for her from some cold, dark place. Was grief making her insane? Was this old building truly haunted? Or was this a second chance? The part of her that ached with loss, the part that would do anything to hear his voice one more time, wanted to believe. She needed to believe. Leaning against the door, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Michael. I didn't mean to..." Before she could finish, the brass doorknob twitched just once. It turned a fraction of an inch, then stopped. A jolt of fear, sharp and electric, shot through her. At exactly midnight, the knocking began again. But this time, it wasn't a gentle rap. It was a violent, frantic pounding. The entire hallway seemed to shake. The lamp on her side table flickered, casting a strobe of dancing shadows across the walls. The pounding grew louder, more desperate, as if something was trying to claw its way out. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Complete silence descended, deeper and more terrifying than before. Elena stood frozen in the middle of the hall. The air was thick and heavy, drawn by a force she couldn't explain. She took a step forward, then another. Her hand, trembling uncontrollably, reached for the doorknob. It was ice cold, so cold it felt like it was burning her skin. She took a deep breath, and with a final, desperate sob, she turned the knob. The old seal cracked and snapped like dry leaves. The door creaked open, revealing not a room, but a wall of absolute, impenetrable blackness. A void. A cold, musty air rushed out, carrying a whisper that curled around her like a ghostly hand. "You said you'd never leave me again." And from the darkness, something reached out. A hand, pale, wet, and trembling. Its fingers long and thin. It wrapped around her wrist, its grip impossibly strong. Before she could scream, it pulled her inside. The door slammed shut, the sound echoing through the empty apartment, and the lock clicked into place. The next morning, the landlord came to check on his new tenant. He found the apartment empty. The seal on the door at the end of the hall was broken. The door itself left slightly ajar. He cautiously pushed it open. The room was just as it always was, completely bare. Walls coated in dust and shadows. But this chimney, something new was on the floor. It was a photograph of Elena and her husband, smiling on their wedding day. But now, both of their faces were violently crossed out in redding. With a heavy sigh, the landlord sealed the door once more. He'd have to find a new tenant soon. And when they would inevitably ask about that door, he'd give them the same practiced smile and the same chilling advice. 302 is a wonderful apartment. Just don't go near the door at the end of the hall, because some doors aren't locked to keep you out. They're locked to keep something in.